All right, Rusty, thanks, man, for joining me today for this conversation. So, for the person watching this interview, if you could talk about a little bit about your farm operation, where you farm at, your family, everything you have going on.
Yeah, I'll say, Rusty Olson up in Garner, Iowa, north central Iowa. We a little bit of a diverse operation. We have corn, soybeans, conventional, and then we also run an organic farming operation: corn, soybeans, oats, alfalfa, some small grain stuff like that. It's my wife and I. We have one full time hired man, and my wife actually has a job in town too. She's a licensed funeral director. We have one daughter. She's 13. I kind of took over the family farming operation wholly in the last few years.
What things specifically were not working there prior to coming into Legacy Farmer? Because I mean, you've been in for how many years now? Are we on year three?
So I guess the biggest thing, and I think we talk about this a lot in our group, is not knowing your numbers and not having a clue where you're at financially at any given point in the year. The one thing that I always found myself doing was renewal time, time to go pay off the operating note. And of course, we had to. An operating note always turned into a grain inventory note because we didn't have all of our grain market. We didn't have a marketing strategy plan. We didn't have any plan that we needed X amount of dollars by November 1st to pay the second half cash rent, to pay for the seed bill coming up December 1 for the Pioneer. Fertilizer bills came due. Everything came due at certain dates. We never had a plan. So then we'd go to the bank and I'd sit in that big damn chair and I felt like I'd just sink into that thing because I'd be across the desk from my lender and he would sit and fill out my balance sheet for the year and he'd tell me where I was at and how much money I could borrow, and this is what the bank was going to do, and this was the interest rate I was going to pay. And there was always this, well, I think I'm going to get financed this year. I'm pretty sure we're going to get to farm again next year, and that's great. But for me to sit there and have someone else fill out my balance sheet for me, pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't have a control on my life and my farming operation, and I was always had this feeling of fear, just walk into the bank and not know where I was at.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Or not knowing if you're going to be able to farm next year, what they were going to say, because ultimately they held all
Yeah.
the cards.
How do you let your landlords down? But you all of a sudden I don't know if I can pay cash rent.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Right.
So never happened, but you always had that fear,
Yeah.
But
So for the other grown man on the other end of this, watching this, what type of impacts, Rusty, did that have on you as far as your personal life goes, and as a husband and as a father?
well, I was stressed out all the time. My marriage was always in stress. My personal health was horrible. I weighed 300 pounds at the time. I just kept eating. I was drinking whiskey like it was going out of style, and just making all sorts of stupid choices in my life because that's how I coped with the stress, and that's how I coped with dealing with it. And how do you avoid issues? You work. You just go to work. And that's all you do. And you think you just, if you got off a stack of bills or whatever that you don't know if you can pay sitting on your desk, you leave them there and you just go work, because if you feel like you're working, you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah,
So
they'll take care of it.
don't worry about being in the office. Just you get the work done. That's all that matters.
Well, yeah, and I think, and I appreciate you sharing on the drinking and whiskey, because every grown man has their form of sedation from this stuff. And yeah, it's easier to let the bills pile up in the office and go work, or go drink, or do whatever you need to do to forget about the mess that you're in, because deep down you don't know your numbers and you feel about 2 inches tall when you walk into the bank and you just feel out of control. So what was the biggest thing for you that you noticed? You've seen a lot of Legacy Farmer over the past 3 years. You've seen us build out our software and really start to focus on the numbers and things like that. What are some of the biggest changes you've noticed in you after you've come in, you've utilized our software and Farmer Metrics, you've obviously contributed to the community big time and joined all the calls and stuff like that? What are some of those biggest changes you've noticed for you?
The biggest change on the financial side is literally knowing my numbers. Farmer Metrics is a phenomenal product. When it started out, it was kind of in beta form. It was just basically a glorified Excel spreadsheet. And I liked it because it was simple, because I understood Excel. When you actually rebuilt that program, at first I was kind of like, I don't like this. I just like my old Excel spreadsheet. But man, the improvements that have been made to that, where everything can calculate out and I can transfer that PDF right to my bank. I can do it in Excel format. I can do it in PDF format. I can send that to 5 banks instantly if I want to shop around for an interest rate. And we did that in 22, 23, just when interest rates got crazy. But for me to be able to sit down at my desktop and one click, I've got everything in front of me: my balance sheet, my cash flow that gets updated, my assets, my liabilities. I know exactly what my payments are. I know exactly what I have to pay out this month. I know what my expected income is this month. I know where the line of credit. I can predict where my line of credit is going to be at in 6 months, and it's usually within $20,000. It just depends on if we got to blow up on a machinery or something like that. But having that peace of mind to not be stressed about money, it has changed my life, my physical health. I just decided that I had to take a proactive approach to physical health. I lost 100 pounds. I go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. I just made all these changes in my life. It made my marriage better. My wife and I are more solid just because I am not stressed all the time. I am not hiding out in the tractor cab because I'm trying to avoid stress at family life, stress at the bills and the bills piling up, and trying to handle everything myself or depend on my wife when she's got a job in town to try and take care of this stuff. It improved everything.
How did it improve your relationship with banks and ultimately, your confidence when you walk into that place? You talked about sinking in the chair.
I don't sink in the chair. I send them a PDF and they tell me if I need to come in, because I tell them how many dollars I'm going to need next year. And this is the interest rate that I'd like to pay. Just tell me what you can do.
That's the leverage that we want. But also, too, has it just streamlined, your ability to get your renewal stuff done, get loan approvals done a lot faster by being able to have your numbers updated on a monthly basis like you do, and just being able to ship reports over to them inside of.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the bank actually says I wish more of our customers could offer us what you're showing us. We have so many customers that don't have a clue what their numbers are. When I can send out that PDF and it's a borrowing power presentation is basically what it is. This is what my leverage is with the bank, and this is what I can offer you guys. And it makes you kind of feel like the bank needs you more than you need them. And let's be realistic. The banks make a lot. We just had this conversation, Jace. What banks make off of interest?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to down talk banks because we need them. I mean, they're great, but wow. I made a reference to a farm payment. I made $61,000 farm payment, $57,000 of that was interest rates. Jace, I never would have paid attention to that until now.
Yeah.
When you sit there and figure out, that's why you need to. I mean, I got these rates fixed. My master loan on my master loan for my majority of my farmland that I own is fixed rate, but then I have another farm that's separate and it's 2 points higher. Yeah. And just those 2 points is huge when you're talking about mortgage farmland.
And how much money do you feel Rusty was just kind of in it? Again, this is going to be a guesstimate, but how much money do you feel was just leaking through the cracks in the operation prior to coming into Legacy Farmer because you weren't tracking any numbers?
Probably $100,000 a year, just leaking through the cracks because you weren't paying attention. I mean, just letting stuff fall.
Yeah.
10% easily.
Yeah.
More. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess, sure. In the retail industry, they just call it shrinkage.
Yeah. That's a pretty big shrinkage though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, so next question I have for you then, and again, you've been with us for 3 years, seen a lot of different things here. What's your number one favorite thing about Legacy Farmer? We got the software, we got the community, we got the
accountability. If I say I'm going to do something, I present to the group, by God, I'm going to do it. It's just like, when going to the gym, I like working with the people that I work out with. It makes me show up. And it's just like Legacy Farmer Group. I have an amazing network of people that I talk to, some people that aren't even in the group anymore that I still talk to. I just talked to one this morning, great friend. We're kind of accountability partners. We reach out to each other just to make sure that we're doing what we say we're going to do.
Yep.
And that's huge because you tell someone you're going to do it. It's personal integrity. You better own up to what you're saying you're going to do, or have a damn good reason why you didn't do it.
All right. Last question for you is, let's say, you're talking to somebody here that's thinking about joining Legacy Farmer. They're looking at our program and they see our software, and it's so crazy. Like you said, man, to see where our software's come from. And after, we've invested over $1 million into it and updating it and making it to what it is today. But say you got somebody that's sitting on the fence there, and they're trying to figure out if this is the right fit for them, and they resonate with all the problems that you talked about, right? You're looking at their life compared to yours, and it is the exact same for you before you came to Legacy Farmer. What would you say to that person sitting on the fence?
If it's down to a cost issue, which in today's market it's going to be, first of all, divide that cost up by I look at everything. It's just like when we did the life insurance policy to cover my land debt. I looked at it as a per acre basis. If you're in row crop production or whatever, or cattle production, whatever you're doing, divide it out by the headspace, divide it out by the acres. Is that $5 to $7 an acre or whatever it comes out to?
Yeah.
Put a value on that.
And what
find the value.
Yeah. What value would you put on it? Because you've been here 3 years. You've invested 3 years in a row and renewed your contract and stuff. What value would you put on it?
It's hard to say because I don't even really look at it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of I see those memes on Facebook. This, and this, and then this, priceless.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Rusty. Well, I appreciate you sharing everything with us today, man. I know somebody watching this is definitely gonna
I hope
take
so.
advice.
And not everything's a fit for everybody. We know that. That's just life. But if somebody's on the fence, and feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah.
You'll find me on social media.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time today.